All right, class. First off, as always, good day. I'm glad you're here. So, today we're going to be talking about the very beginnings of government. The theory of it, what you need in order to form a government, things like that. Okay. Now, we're going to analyze the different forms of ancient government to determine which one is best. We're examining the significance of the theories of government. I'm going to create an argument on which of the four necessities of being a state is the most important. Okay, skip that. All right, so here's your warm up picture. Now, you see the two political parties, the Democrats, which is that donkey, and then the Republicans, who is the elephant. And in the middle, you have the Capitol building, which represents our government. So the question is, what do you think this artist is trying to say about the political parties in our government? So look at how they're looking at each other. How would you describe that look? And then look at the Capitol building. How does it look? You know? So use that information to come up with an answer to the question I gave you. Okay? So break it down, right? Try to get it. Don't just put something like, I see a donkey, I see an elephant. That's not what I'm asking. That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking you to interpret this picture and break it down. What is this artist trying to say about the two political parties and our government? What are they doing to our government? And why? Okay. So think about it, write your response. Okay. Uh, Pause the video because we're moving on to the notes in three, two, one. So, Aristotle, which you see his bust right there, he was a scholar and a sculptor in ancient Greece. But the thing is, he was the first person to actually like write down and think and contemplate government. He was the first student of government. He really thought and questioned, do we need one? Could our we as people work together and try to make our city, state, nation function without the need of a government? So he really thought about it, and he went around to different city states and different little countries and some of that. He spent a lot of years of his life doing that. I believe he visited like something like 200 something different little city states and nations, and came up with three forms of government that were somewhat good, the best of the three, the best of all of them. He came up with three. We'll talk about that later on, but just remember, he was the first student. Okay. Now, a state, it's basically a political community that occupies a defined area and has an organized government with the power to make and enforce laws. Okay. Now, I'm sure some of you guys are like, well, isn't like California a state? Yes, we are, but we don't count as a whole of the 206 states in the world. We are part of our country, which is called the United States. That's why we have that name. Okay. So we are united. Okay. That's why each state doesn't count as its own when it comes to the global world. Okay. Uh, but again, it needs to have some requirements, which is again political community, an area, and in order to make laws and make sure people are following them. Now, a nation is a sizable group of people who are united by a common bond, whether it's race, language, custom, traditions, and or religion. Okay. Now, here's the thing: not every nation has states, and not every state is their own nation. A great example would be like in Africa. There's a group of people, they're basically a nation, but they don't have a set territory because they move from area to area to area to area, and they're nomads. They're looking for food, they're bushmen. So they don't have necessarily a country that's theirs. They go around different countries, but they are technically a nation of people because they all are from one race. They have their language, traditions, and customs, and religion. So yeah, but they don't have like a set state, land that's theirs. They jump around from all the different ones. Okay. Now let's say you're going to start your own country. Well, you're going to need four things. Okay. One, population. You need people. You can't have one person doing 28 jobs in a country. You can't have a person being the teacher, garbage man, dentist, the guy who cleans the sewer lines, the guy who's fixing the roads. No, that's not gonna work. Okay, it's not gonna work. You need people in order to get things done. Next is territory, land. And it's not just like, hey, we need more space, because we have so many people. No, sometimes it's also, hey, we need land because we need trees, we need fresh water, we need, and also what comes from the ground, gold, silver, oil. You have those things, your country will do well. Okay. The next one is sovereignty. Now, in the pre-test, I asked you guys if anyone knew what sovereignty was, and nobody knew, and that's okay. That's all right. You know why? Because you're learning about it now. Sovereignty is a really fancy word for control. Now, it doesn't mean just control over your people. It means control over the policies and the ability to function as a nation. That things won't go haywire. That the train system you have set up won't go all crazy. That the electrical grid that you set up won't shut down just because. You know, that everything is going to run smoothly, you know, and it's all under control. Okay. Yes, certain things will pop up and things like that, but it's not going to go all haywire and destroy your whole country. Okay. The last one is government. You need to maintain some type of order and control, and also to enforce and create laws. Make sure that the laws you make are being followed by the people and basically the people in your government. Again, remember, in the most successful governments, nobody is above the law. You know, so that's the thing. Now, which one is the most important? That's up for you to decide. Okay. No one can tell you, oh, this is the number one thing or this one's the top one. No, you decide. Okay. But those are the four things every country needs. So, when it comes to the different theories of government, we're going to look at the very first ones that really came out. The first one is evolutionary, which basically means if you're the head of the household, you're the head of the government. If you're the oldest, you're the head. Okay. That's why a lot of Native American tribes, usually the elders, were the head, whether they're the chief, medicine man, stuff like that, because they lived longer than everyone. They knew what their ancestors did, and it was passed down to them, and they're going to pass it down to the next generation. Uh, so, because of their experience, because of their knowledge, they became the elders. They became the head of the government. Force theory is exactly that. You force people to follow you. Okay, whether it's one person or a whole group, they force people to obey them and things like that. Usually, it's with threats of violence or committing violence to a person or a group to set an example for everyone else. Like, hey, if you do this, this is what's going to happen to you, and things like that. Okay. The next one, it always makes me laugh. The divine right theory. Um, this is legitimate in history. People believe that their leader, their king, queen, or whoever, is either chosen by God or related to God. Now, here's the thing. Uh, I've had a lot of students in the past tell me, even this past week, well, I'd be like, show me proof. See, that's the thing. We're rational, things like that. We think about that stuff. But back then, those people were very religious, you know. And to religious people, God does not make a mistake. God is infallible. I love that word, but just don't get to use it that often. Infallible means no mistakes. So God doesn't make mistakes. So if the king is a horrible king, just god awful, just terrible, those people back then couldn't be like, oh, this king sucks, oh, this guy killed off a bunch of our people, things like that. They couldn't think that, because to think that would be like to say that God made a mistake. And again, God doesn't make mistakes, So it was a tough pickle these poor people were in, but they really believed it. And again, I hate to say, I wish it was like this stuff back then, but there are people still to this day who think some people, some political candidates are like God chose them, and that's scary. That's really scary. All right. Now, the last one is the social contract theory. This one's pretty interesting if you really think about it. So basically, it says that we, as people, are born free. So if you take away the government, you take away the laws and stuff like that, we are born free. Okay, we could do whatever we want. You know. Now, with that being said, let's say I have a cup of cold water that somebody else wants, and I don't want to give it to them because hey, it's my cold water. If we're all free and can do whatever we want, they can kill me and take my water. They have that right. But in the same respect, they can be killed by somebody else too because they want that water. They have that person has that freedom. And I've tried to explain this in class sometimes, and some people go, "No one can kill me." You kill somebody under this thing, yeah, they can kill you. But see, that's where we come with an agreement, all right? It's not that we wrote down the stuff and said, "Okay, you don't kill me, I won't kill you." Basically, we kind of all agreed to this. You don't kill me, I don't kill you. You don't steal my stuff, I won't steal yours. We trade those freedoms for security. Okay, we trade those for freedoms for security. And if somebody breaks that rule, breaks that law, they get punished, usually with jail, things like that. Okay. Now, just to give you an idea, if you've ever been on a plane lately, you know you have to take off your shoes, your belt, everything out of your pockets, go through 3 like scans and exams before you can get to the other side and then find your terminal. Back when I was your guys' age, I could just go to the airport 10 minutes before the plane's about to leave, get a ticket, answer 3 questions, right? And one of the questions was, did you pack your own bags? And then go, you know, to the terminal, to my plane. That was it. But because of what happened with September 11th and the terrorist attacks and some of that, people were like, no, no, no. I'm going to trade that freedom of just answering those 3 questions and that. No, no. Now I want security. Make sure nobody has anything like a bomb or whatever, to destroy the plane that I'm on. So we trade that freedom for that security. Okay. All right. So that's basically it. You may or may not like remember like, hey, there's an exit ticket. Thing is, the exit ticket is for when you're in class. So you don't have to do an exit ticket. You're gonna lose points on that. Sad to say, but um, you can't do an exit ticket because again, an exit ticket is only when you're in class. You need to write the exit ticket out in order to leave the class. Okay, and chances are you're probably home watching this. So, okay. Uh, so with that being said, hopefully you learned something new. Hopefully you enjoyed this lesson. Okay. So, you guys, you take care. You be safe. and I'll see you guys later, okay?